Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome EVP and Chief Revenue Officer, Southwest Airlines, Andrew Watterson, in discussion with Skift Aviation Business Editor, Brian Summers.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Andrew.
Hey.
Thanks for being here with me.
My pleasure.
I need to remind all of you, as everybody else has, that we'll take questions at the end. So please put those down.
But only good questions.
What?
But only good questions.
Only good questions.
All right.
That's right. I find Southwest very impressive. But until recently, I didn't think of you as a very digital, agile organization, which is what it is. But you have a new computer system, and it gives you a lot more functionality. And so what do you get from that?
We have a new reservation system, is probably what you're referring to.
Exactly.
We have thousands of computer systems. And we also have a new website. The new website's more recent. And we're very pleased with the website, and we're pleased with the switch to Amadeus as our reservation system. Amadeus hosts us, even though we distribute mostly directly. And for the most part, it becomes eliminates a bottleneck. In the past, our reservation system prevented us from doing lots of things, which helped us become, I guess, very creative in workarounds. And so our tech was focused a lot on getting around the shortcomings of our previous system. And so this new system will allow us to do things that are mostly back office. The customer may not notice all of them. It'll help us in the way we price our product. It'll help us how we distribute our product. It'll help us in how we sell ancillary products that don't require a lot of tech work to create a new thing to sell, if you will. And so a lot of these things will create value. And so we've talked about that to Wall Street, but not as much to consumer, because it is mostly back office functionality at this point in time.
OK, so about when do you think the consumer will see some changes?
Well, there's things now the consumer sees that's a result of this new system, but they won't see. It's not like a new gizmo, so to speak. Probably the most tangible customer-facing item will be the when we interline and code share with other airlines. So in the future, we would expect to be able to have connecting service from Southwest Airlines to, say, a long-haul carrier coming across the oceans. And that'll probably be the biggest manifestation the customer will see, but that's a few years down the road. OK.
One of the things that you've told me is that you're really proud that the website loads very, very fast. Why is that so important?
Yeah, our website is blazing fast. And so if you go into southwest.com and put in a flight search, it'll come back really fast. We don't really need any spinny thing to kind of keep you distracted. Go to another airline and you'll see a spinny thing to keep you distracted. And the real reason behind that is we sell a bundled product. We do not nickel and dime you and try to make our money on selling you extra stuff. So we want our funnel to be really fast and really friction-free. And so once we got you to the top of the funnel, we want you to be able to purchase with as little friction as possible, and that means it must move quickly. And we see if our website slows down, we kind of lose people out of the funnel. An airline who maybe makes their money on selling you extra stuff, whether it's a fee or an upsell, they will put stuff in the funnel, and they're somewhat okay if you bail out of the funnel because they needed to sell you that ancillary to be profitable. Whereas since ours is bundled, it's all together, so we want that friction-free funnel.
OK.
A lot of alliteration there.
All right. So I am a constant traveler. There are many times that Southwest would be the best way for me to fly. And even though I cover the industry, there are some routes I don't even think of you for because you don't show up on some of my searches. You sell direct. You always have. You are brilliant at it. But why is this still the way you do it?
Well, in the early stages of our being, we sold indirectly through travel agents. It wasn't until we were kind of held hostage by the distribution systems in the 90s that we kind of had a wake-up of like, oh my goodness, if you put your fate in the hands of a third party who then becomes upset with you, you create issues. And so at that point, we started on the path of direct distribution. And now, today, we're not 100% direct. In our business-to-consumer business, we are almost entirely direct. The caveat would be our vacations packaging business is through a third party. But our business-to-business distribution is through third parties, and we're fine with that, having that complemented. And so that direct relationship with the customer, the B2C part through our website, we find we get lots of rich information from the customer. It helps us know them, get them to be repeat customers, because our business is based on a repeat purchase. You fly us for business, you fly us to see grandma, you fly us to go on vacation, and that repeat purchase is facilitated by having that one-to-one relationship with you.
OK. So I'm flying you guys tonight because you fly into Burbank.
Thank you very much.
I've put in my Rapid Rewards number.
Thank you.
What do you know about me, and then what can you use about me to sell me things?
Well, we would like to, anybody who comes to our website should see the same price. So we don't buy into this thing where you can have an individualized offering such that you have a price that nobody else has. You come to the website, you should have the same price as everybody else who's at the website at that point in time for the route that you picked. And so there's a part of that which is customer service, so knowing who you are, what you need, and so providing you information along your journey helps with that. But a lot of it becomes part of the loyalty program. And so the loyalty program is a great enabler of kind of our market position. We all studied the S-curve in business school if you kind of took a marketing class. And to make the S-curve sticky, you need really a loyalty program. So we're really big in Burbank.
Yeah.
If Burbank's your preferred airport, the loyalty program brings together and kind of makes sticky our offering of a very robust schedule there.
Okay. So a lot of airlines might say, we know Brian. We're almost certain that he's traveling on business. He might want priority boarding, and he really might want it because he's traveling for work, and Rafat will pay. So they'll push something to my phone. And maybe if I'm flying for vacation, they won't do that. But you guys don't play that game. Like, why not?
Well, a lot of what we show in the app is about service to the customer and making the journey go well. Because that's our first priority. Because journey going well means you'll come back and buy again. And as I said, our model is based upon repeat purchase. We will offer to upsell you with humans. So you get to the gate, and the gate agent will offer upgraded boarding to you and to anybody else. So once again, we don't want just you to have that opportunity. We want first come, first serve to have that opportunity. From the dawn of time, humans have done a good job selling, and our people do a good job of selling. And so we're pleased with that. It could be in the future that we make that digital, but they are enormously successful at doing that, and so we would like them to continue to sell.
But this is crazy to me. I am a millennial. I'm an old millennial. But if I want to buy priority boarding, I don't want to talk to a human at the gate who's then made an announcement on the PA system. I just want to buy it on my phone.
Well, you could buy it as Business Select. So when you're purchasing, you just buy Business Select. We present it right there. Want to get away, anytime Business Select. Just click on the left side, and you got upgraded boarding, no human needed.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about something we talked about this morning. For about 50 years, you guys have tried to turn airplanes as fast as possible. So an airplane would land, people would get off, they get back on, plane would go up. Years ago, it was as fast as 10 minutes. Now you can do it in 25, but you don't do it often. And you said you were doing it without even understanding why, but now you have algorithms that can tell you how it works?
Well, we understood why we turn it fast, because we keep our costs low by keeping the assets and the people busy. So that means fast turns. We pay our people well, but we need to keep them busy by having the aircraft and the moving all the time. But the boarding is something that we, over time have gotten more and more electronic signatures. So we know when you start boarding, right? You scan, and we know that happens. We know when the aircraft opens or closes. We know when the pilot releases the brakes or puts on the brakes. And so there's lots of digital markers that tell us what's happening in the turn, but there's still gaps. So when the door opens after the aircraft arrives, we don't really have a good marker of like how fast do people get off the airplane. And so what we have done is we've developed some cameras, both the equipment and the algorithms to monitor the video analytics to gauge how fast customers get off the aircraft. And we also, on the reverse side, we know when the boarding passes are scanned, but we know when the last boarding pass is scanned, but we don't know how the flow through the jet bridge happened and how fast people boarded. So these cameras allowed us to kind of measure and quantify the speed, but also the number of bags people bring on, and we were able to actually put that with some other pilot exercises we were doing, prototypes rather, where we were doing some digital wayfinding and can give information back to the consumer and the employees of how many bags are coming onto the airplane, so you can make a decision, do I want a gate check or not gate check? So these types of things help us get a fuller digital picture, if you will, of the operation. Even though it seems like you have all these data points, you're always missing data, it seems like.
So now that you have that fuller picture, is there anything that you learned that maybe is counterintuitive about human behavior?
Well, one thing we did learn, it was probably not counterintuitive, but as part of this prototype we did, we played music over the loudspeaker in the airplane, and people moved faster when there was music. We're not talking like blaring hard rock. It was just putting some music in there. People kind of sped up for whatever reason, and so we did notice and the video kind of proved it that they were moving a little bit faster when you had a little music in the background.
Interesting. All right, so there's another problem that airlines like yours have tried to figure out over years and years. You have a lot of connecting passengers. Somebody goes from San Jose, they land in Chicago, then they fly on to LaGuardia, and the airline should know whether this person is going to make their connection. But you don't really, right? You have to rely on them to go from one gate to the next. Is there any technology you can use to figure out whether they're going to make the flight or not?
Well, today we kind of, once again, you have data, but there's a data gap. And so we know if we have a connecting passenger who's arriving, that he or she is on a flight, and you know where that flight is, and you know if that flight has reached the gate and the door's open. But then after that, you kind of lose sight of the customer until he or she scans their boarding pass to get on the next flight. And so we have done some work. We did it in Dallas with some prototypes last year, and we'll be kind of rolling it out this year to a handful of stations. We do more digital wayfinding in the airport. That's basically gate signage that makes it much more intuitive of the status of your flight, or it's boarding or not yet boarding. We'll also give you information on where to go for your next gate, and it'll also be enabled by an app that lets you know where you need to go. So whether you're a connecting passenger or actually you're an origin passenger, it'll let you know the best path, where to park, where to go for your connecting flight. And it'll also then give the information to our ops agents of where you are in the airport, if you are someplace that's right nearby or if you're kind of off track. And so this, once again, will enable their decision making as they decide whether to kind of hold the flight or not.
Do you think customers appreciate this sort of technology, or does it become a little creepy that the airline has a better idea where they are?
Well, we want you to opt in if you want to do it. We don't want to do it against your will. So when our prototypes, there was very large adoption and satisfaction with it. And so being able to kind of know how to get to your gate or where to park or how security lines are, these are unknown. So we want to take anxiety out of travel. And part of the anxiety out of travel is, I'm at the curb, will I get to my seat in time? Or, which way is my gate? Is it to the left or the right? I'm not a frequent traveler, I'm not frequent this airport. So providing more information to reduce anxiety, customers are willing to adopt. Providing you personal information about my whereabouts so you can sell me stuff, they're like, maybe, maybe not. And so really that service quality generates a lot of adoption.
Okay. I bet this room would agree with me, but one of the biggest points of anxiety on an airplane for business travelers is, will my Wi-Fi work or will it not work? And we have our first airline executive on stage here. Why does it stink so much? And what are you going to do to make it better?
Well, there's been a couple models. There's air-to-ground and satellite-based models, and there's hybrids now, but I think generally most airlines move into a satellite-based system. And from the satellite, to use kind of more crude, non-technical terms, the pipe down from the satellite is robust. And so you can get lots of good information. That's why you can have live TV, movies. There's no problem with the pipe down, so to speak. It's the pipe up that's not as robust. And what happens is when that gets overwhelmed, then it can't send the information to say, hey, send me my stuff back down the pipe. And so it's really the up pipe, to be crude, is clogged. And the biggest problem we have is when you turn on your Wi-Fi on your iPhone or your Android, you start backing up all your photos, you start backing up all your data, and so all that backup stuff that you don't necessarily want to do is what causes the latency in the Wi-Fi. That's the biggest problem. And so if anybody could talk to the manufacturers or operating system developers and say, when you're on airplane mode, truly on an airplane, don't back up the photos, don't back up the programs, that would alleviate a lot of the Wi-Fi problems in the airline business. So far, when we ask them, they don't think it's worth their time to solve our problem. But it's your problem. So maybe if you tell them, that would do a lot to alleviate the issue.
Okay. All right, so it doesn't sound like there's that much hope.
Oh, what happens is we will invest in more and more bandwidth. And so we've, on our side, we add another provider. we added more transponders, and we have kind of one big slug of additional transponders that have come online by July of this year. So this past 12 months, we'll have doubled our speed. And then for the next 12 months after that, we'll do it again. And so anybody who works in telecom or anything to do with bandwidth knows that it's hard to stay ahead of consumer demand. So even though you're doubling, consumers are having more and more things they want to use the internet for. And so as the photos get more robust and higher definition photos, this is going to clog things up when you back it up. So if you could disable your phone so you're not backing up your photos, or back them up when you're at the airport, you might help out your flight.
If only people could do that, right?
I know. And also a lot of the satellites now have more focus beams, because the beams get shared by all the airplanes in that area. So even if the satellite transponders, their capacity goes up, but then with the beams get focused and the beam is being shared by less airplanes, that de facto is an increase. So that's been helpful as well.
Great. We have a couple other airline executives here later today, and they want to talk about Alexa and using voice. You were telling me you're not quite there yet, right, with Alexa? Why not?
Well, I think an earlier speaker talked about the lack of a visual cue. We see today, even with the mobile app, the conversion is a lot less on mobile than it is with desktop. Because buying air travel is kind of a higher nominal dollar purchase. It is also something that requires you to enter more information, and the results, the different quality of results is material to the customer. So flight A versus flight B, or routing A versus routing C. And so the customers really want to, it appears, see it and go over it in much more detail than you can with just a voice system. Now, a person who is perhaps a high volume business traveler, if he or she knows what they want, they know they want the flight to Houston, they want the 7 o'clock, they always take it, and they just want it executed, then maybe a voice activated system could work, because it's just execution. But execution is different than search. Search, you almost have to see the results for the broad humanity, and so it just is not there yet as far as the feasibility for customers to purchase a high ticket item with multiple options.
Isn't it good for companies like yours just to try this stuff out to see whether it works, whether it converts sales or not? Because in 5 years or 10 years, you will have learned from being there at the beginning.
We certainly pay attention to it, and it doesn't go unnoticed. But we, once again, do sell for B2C through our website. So it's how this would work with our website, and will this be a material channel? Because believe it or not, the cash is not the constraining element for IT development. It is the development professionals themselves. And so they're a scarce commodity, and you can only do so much development a year. And so what do you want to use that precious commodity for? And so therefore it has to reach a certain bar, or a certain threshold of relevance to your business needs, kind of near term and far term, before you kind of spend a lot of money on it. So we certainly study it for sure. The question is, do we then go to the next step of spending development resources on it?
Okay. You talk to a lot of airlines, and they say so many people call the 800 number to ask the same stupid questions, honestly, often. And I know it's not the case with you. How much does the first bag cost? And they talk about using bots just to answer these ridiculous questions and make sure fewer people call the number. Are you using bots?
Not right now. So we have looked at some bots on our website to ask for frequently asked questions, and we don't have it yet to the level of fidelity that we think would be a good customer service. The last thing we want to do is have a customer have a question, and then you frustrate the heck out of them by not answering it. And so when we feel comfortable that the service quality will be there, then we can do that for routine questions the customers have. Right now, we're concentrating on improving the search capability on our website, which could use a little help, and so we're developing on that right now.
Okay. There is a less known revenue generator for the airline industry, although people here are probably aware of it. It's the credit card game, and you have a great relationship with Chase, and they pay a lot of miles for points. I'm curious, beyond the money that you're getting for Chase for the points, are they giving you data, and what data you get, and what are you able to do with it?
You can get some information from Chase, and you can get from other third parties as well. The richest source of data is the data we have from the direct relationship with the customer. And so we know already that there's no customer who's 100% loyal to any airline, or if there are, just a handful of those people. So you can already use other sources of data to kind of predict what your share of wallet is for a certain customer. And so the Chase information would only be a subset of their spend anyway. So it's helpful at the margin, but it's not the, you need other explanatory variables to understand what your share of wallet is and how much more you could sell to that customer and how much more of their loyalty you could shift. And so it's really about federating numerous data sources to get that kind of complete view of the customer.
Okay, great. They've put up some questions here in front of us, so why don't we go to them? Should we go to the first one?
Yeah.
What are the key factors that keep you profitable in comparison to other airlines? I bet you like this question.
Well, as I mentioned before, we pay our people well, and so we are proud of that. We've never had a layoff. We've never had a furlough. We've never had a salary cut. But we keep our costs low by keeping them busy. And so we have very high productivity of our people and our assets. And so that is our key to keeping our costs low. We also have lower overhead than other airlines in general as well. And so those factors, that high productivity model, and we keep our productivity between the golden hours of the day. You can have high productivity by flying all around the clock. We don't fly so-called red eyes at night because we keep our high utilization in the golden hours of travel when people want to travel. And so that's the key to our low costs.
Okay. There was a follow-up there about baggage fees. Wall Street thinks that you're nuts for not charging the same baggage fees as everyone else. I know this is a digital conference, but why don't you have bag fees?
Wall Street's lightened up now, so bag fees and change fees are really big irritants. They piss the customer off. And we want customers to have repeat purchase from us. And it doesn't cost $25 or $50 or $100 to check a bag or to have a carry-on bag. And so really, that's just a way to get more revenue out of the customer. We prefer to take a approach of saying, we have a bundled product for you that has the attributes you expect it to have. And customers, by and large, are very pleased with that. That's evidenced by our NPS scores and the repeat purchase we have from customers for whatever the travel purpose is. So that treating the customers well and having them come back seems like it's gone out of fashion for a lot of companies, but it hasn't for us.
Okay, let's go to the next one. How do you use technology to collect customer feedback, and what do you think are the biggest gaps when it comes to aggregating feedback to improve your services?
So we buy from Salesforce. Salesforce is one of our suppliers, as was mentioned by some earlier. That's very helpful. We have a couple other legacy systems, and so that allows us to bring in customer information from multiple sources. Either our reservation system for how their flight went, our customer relations, whether they contacted us, or our customer support, which is when they phone us in. And so we bring all that information into kind of what's the right word, of kind of client management for you to say, here's how you have contacted us, here's the experiences you've had with us, and it allows us to kind of a good view of how your travel with Southwest Airlines has been. And so that allows us to then, we have what's called a proactive customer service team. If we see that you've had some experiences that weren't as good as they should have been, we'll proactively reach out to you and send you an apology or send you compensation or something that lets you know that we're sorry that you had a poor experience or experiences with us, as well as when you call us in, we'll have context for what your issue is that you're calling us about. And so resolution of customer problems is a very big priority for us because there's, like I said, acquiring a new customer is enormously expensive. If you can keep that customer, that is a very high ROI, so we put a big importance on understanding your feedback and then keeping you with us.
And you have tremendously loyal customers. It's kind of amazing.
Yes.
All right. How your experiences with Amadeus reservation system, we talked a little bit about the good things, but there were some blips last year, and your CEO and your president complained about them publicly. How do you assess the Amadeus relationship, and are you getting the new functionality that you wanted?
Yeah, we're pleased with it is right now. In the beginning, there were some teething problems. I would say the development process, kind of before it went live, went extraordinarily well. They were very professional, very deep expertise, and were able to get that system kind of to the North American standards with a lot of good technical work. So we're pleased about that. We went live, and then there was some glitches. since I mentioned we distribute directly, we have 130 million passengers a year, and most of them are coming through the front door in our website, and we demand very, very fast response times. I think that was perhaps a little bit of a shock to have this much volume requiring this much speed and this much uptime. Because when you're selling indirectly, maybe you can tolerate downtime, but when you're selling through your website, we cannot tolerate downtime. And so that level of fidelity, I think, was maybe a shock at first, but they quickly adapted and have good service.
It felt like your last reservation system was held together by like tape and glue. How did it make it until 2017 before you guys updated the system?
A couple of false starts.
Okay.
We had some systems that never saw the light of day. But it was, Y2K perversely made it last longer, right? You get everything ready for Y2K, and then it kind of makes it past that hurdle, and you're like, okay, well, it can last a little bit longer. And then that kind of made it, go on for a little while, and then we kind of started the process of replacing our res system, which, because that's the heart of the airline, so to speak, it is a multi-year horizon. It was about a 5-year journey. So even though we went live a couple years ago, for 5 years before that, we're in the process of getting ready for it.
Great. Our time is up. Thank you very much,
My pleasure.
Andrew.
Thanks for inviting me.